You just don't know when to quit.
Yeah, I've been told that before.
Wow. Are you guys seeing this? I need a weapon.
Hello there.
He with you?
I thought you were here.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Slav's Free Talk Podcast, where we talk all things geek and pop culture and all that kind of stuff. Do I have a show for you this week? We got Nintendo, we got Gremlins, we got K-pop, we got Superman, and we got so much more. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, whatever you guys bring to the table as well when it comes to questions and discussion in the chat. So let's dive in. How's it going? I don't know. I'm trying something out new here. StreamYard has this new thing where you can actually stream both vertically and horizontally at the same time. So I'm giving it a shot. I'm seeing, hey, will I get more viewers? Will it work out? I don't know exactly what it does, if it's really gonna do anything at all, but hey, whatever, let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens, if people even care. I don't know, but yeah, we got some things to talk about today. But before we do that, let's see who's in here. I do see Donovan's in here. He's been talking up a storm for the last 30 minutes. So he's in here. What's going on, Donovan? He's been talking about a whole bunch of things like Predator Badlands. He says, believe the hype. Yeah, I do want to go see it. Hopefully I get a chance to go see it. I just haven't had a chance to yet. I want to see Tron Ares still. Then there's Now You See Me, Now You Don't that's coming out. There's a whole slew of films that I want to see in the next few weeks. I just need to find some time to go see them. He says, I love the title, DC Crime. Grodd is coming. Yeah, that's something we'll be talking about here shortly. I can't wait to see that. Critic Chris is here. Says, hey, everybody, what's going on, Critic? Glad you can make it. Trayvon's in here. Says, here I am. Let's see. Hunter Iggy's here. Says, what if Jimmy Olsen girlfriend turned into Silver Banshee in the DC Crime show? That could be interesting. That could be interesting indeed. Look, I want to put out something. So StreamYard does this thing with the comment section to kind of highlight what's a question. So if you guys want to ask me a question, make sure you put a question mark in your question, because it'll highlight for me that it's a question, make it easier for me for it to stand out for me to see. So make sure you do that. That way I can definitely grab that in the comments for sure. Let's see. Donovan says, did you hear DC Studios is a failure? They keep announcing projects because they know they are over. OMG. Good times. Yeah, it's crazy for sure. It's crazy what they're doing here. They just, things are over. DC's failing. What can you do? That's one thing we are going to talk about today. We will definitely talk about how it's possible for Superman to have made $100+ million in profit. What is it that caused them to even make it possible to do that? We will discuss that later on in the show here. But obviously, guys, you can throw your information in the chat, questions, comments, all that kind of stuff. But if it is a question, make sure you put a question mark at the end. That way, StreamYard picks it up as a question and highlights it for me so I see it's a question. All right, let's move on to the first topic of the day, which is Super Mario Brothers Galaxy, which is coming out, or the Super Mario Galaxy movie. I'm sorry, that's what it's called. Super Mario Galaxy movie, which is coming out the next year sometime, I think. What is it? April next year, something like that. Here's a poster, a new poster for the movie. You can get a whole bunch of little Mushroom Kingdom guys, little toadstools. There they are, and their little boats. Look at them, all cute and stuff. But the first full trailer releases this Wednesday at 6 a.m. Pacific time, which would be 9 a.m. Eastern time. So, guys, if you're excited about this movie, we are getting a new full trailer for this movie. We got a teaser a couple months ago where Mario was just kind of sleeping under a tree, and they kind of showed a few little things there. It wasn't much of anything. It was just a tease, like, hey, this is what the movie's going to be called. And now we're going to get our first trailer here. Look, the way I look at it is the first movie was a lot of fun. Was it overly magnificent and great? Was it earth-shattering? No, but it made a crap ton of money. It made over $1 billion because it was a lot of fun. It was family friendly, a lot of fun. Is this movie going to do the same? No, I don't think it's going to be as big. I think it may hit $1 billion, but I think it may just miss it this year or this time. I could be wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if it did just as well. I don't think it's going to do higher. I just don't see it doing higher. Maybe I'm wrong. But look, I think this franchise is definitely one that's going to keep going for a while. It's a lot of fun. It's family friendly. The art style, the computer animated art style is really good. It's very clean looking, and people are going to eat it up and love it. And it's just going to keep going, which I'm going to just continue on to the next story here, because it appears Nintendo is quietly building a cinematic empire, and it is about to explode. Now, they aren't just dipping their toes into Hollywood anymore. It's marching in with a warp pipe grin. A master sword in hand and the confidence of a franchise that knows exactly what it's doing. So Nintendo says they are preparing for ongoing release of movies in the future. Now, we know that we're getting a sequel to the Mario movie, which is Super Mario Galaxy movie. We are also getting a live action Legend of Zelda film, which is currently in production. However, the building of a framework consists for a consistent release cadence. We got the 2 Mario movies, we got a Zelda, and then we're gonna get more movies. There's rumor that it could be a Donkey Kong spinoff from the Mario movie, where it could be a Luigi Mansion movie. Could they continue going on with live action things? There's been discussions and rumor of a Star Fox movie, which I think would be absolutely awesome. Like, imagine a Top Gun type of movie in the Nintendo cinematic universe. Like, that would be a lot of fun. So it seems like they're going to build up this little universe of sorts when it comes to Nintendo. And to me, like, I sit there and I start thinking of all the possibilities of what they could do. Now, to me, I kind of wish that, look, I'm all for this Legend of Zelda film that's going to be live action. I think it's got the potential to be like Lord of the Rings-esque, and not as like adult as that, but a lot of fun, really cool, and really like just something great for kids and family to enjoy. But as I'm sitting here thinking about like this Nintendo cinematic universe, I'm starting to think like, man, I kind of wish the Legend of Zelda film was animated, because then you can bring all of this together, get a Metroid Prime, get a Kirby movie, get all this stuff, and eventually build up to a Super Smash Brothers or a straight up Mario Kart or a Mario Party-esque type of movie at some point, which would just be, would it be wonky and ridiculous? Absolutely. But it would be balls to the walls fun. And that would be almost like the Avengers-esque type of movie with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or a Justice League with the DCU. Like, that's what it could build up to. You could have all these little movies with all these characters and all these different things, and it gets built up to a Mario Party at one point. And then you do a whole bunch of little movies, and it builds up to like a Mario Kart type of movie. And then you have all these movies, and then it builds up to the Super Smash Brothers movie. And then you just have a lot of fun. Like, that could just be so much fun. Now, to me, that's what I would have done. But again, who knows what their plan is? I just think this is really cool. And I think off of the success of the first Mario movie, we know the second one is going to be successful. Who knows what they have in the pipeline right now? No pun intended. Who knows what they have when it comes to all these films? Because the amount of characters that they have under Nintendo is plentiful. They really do, that they could build off of, and I'm excited for it. Look, I may not be a diehard Nintendo fan like some people are out there, but this does make me excited because it's something fresh. It's something new that we haven't been seeing. That's just your typical superhero genre film, and your typical. This isn't even your typical video game type of film because of it being animated, and because it's a little more cartoonish. I think this would be a lot more fun and a lot more exciting to experience. But I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this, because if you ask me, this is one excellent idea and way to go. And Nintendo, here's the crazy thing. Nintendo is going to be all hands on deck with this. They're not just going to pass this off. They are going to be 100% all hands on deck with this. So head over to slavsfreetalk.com. You can read the whole article there talking about all this, and also leave a comment on what you think about this. What do you think they should do? Where do you think they should go with this? How would you plan this all out if you are planning a Nintendo cinematic universe? Let me know your thoughts below. All right. What are we going over here? Let's see. Hunter Iggy's in here, says, hi, everyone. Donovan, blatant sarcasm. Let's see. Donovan says, hot take, I don't care for Mario movie. Well, you need to get out of here, Donovan. No, I'm just kidding. Donovan says, Illumination just enables the worst in animation industry, and by that I mean trends. Yeah. Donovan says Bowser should win. Brian with an eye says, will Mario lose a hand? Why would he lose a hand? Let's see. Critic Chris says, not familiar with Galaxy Mario games. Well, there was 2 of them on the Nintendo Wii. I was not a big fan of those games. They were actually my least favorite of the Mario games, but I know a lot of people loved them. Donovan says, I mean, where's a live action Zelda film form? Wes Ball, director, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Critic Chris, I'd like a Captain the Game Master movie eventually. Captain N. There you go. Captain N. I mean, anything's possible, right? Anything's possible. What else? Critic Chris, did you enjoy the Wizard movie where Super Mario Bros. 3 was young Tobey Maguire, and that was also not Ben Savage, the other Savage kid, Fred Savage. And yeah, that movie. Look, The Wizard, man, that was my movie when I was younger, man. It had the Power Glove. It was there was like the introduction of the Power Glove. Remember that? Yeah. Everybody was like, oh, that Power Glove's going to be amazing. Yeah, I remember, Critic. I remember. Donovan says, John Cena just became a Grand Slam champion, the new IC champion. Oh my God. We knew it was going to happen. Congratulations, John Cena. I'll probably catch it in a clip later on tonight, but we knew it was going to happen. That's awesome. I mean, they were going to do that for John Cena before he retired, and now he's going to hold on to the belt until his final match at the in December. And whoever he's going to face is going to win the championship off of him. So there you have it. Spoiler for WWE. All right. Critic Chris says, me too, Slav. I wanted that Power Glove so bad to play Rat Racer. All right. Moving on to the next topic. This is, look, as we're talking about, the Power Glove from the early 90s and stuff like that, let's go back even a little further to the 80s. Gremlins to return after 37 years. And I'm going to be honest, we're more hyped than a Mogwai at midnight. Look, Gizmo is going to return. Hollywood Reporter just dropped an early Christmas present on all of us. Warner Brothers is officially reviving the Gremlins franchise. Look, I don't know how many of you are aware of what Gremlins is. It was an absolute adorable comedy / horror film from the early 80s that had that little adorable look. This was the first Baby Yoda. All right. Like, this is Gizmo here. Like, he was absolutely adorable. I personally absolutely loved Gremlins growing up. And when that first movie, came out, it wasn't like huge, but it did well. And people loved it, but it really became more of a cult classic in the 90s. They did do a second one in the early, I think it was like 1990 they did a second one, but they left the horror aspect out and just made it a comedy, and it really didn't work very well. I see critic Chris there saying he's in the minority, but he enjoyed the second Gremlins. Not too many people did. But they are bringing Gremlins back for a third one, and it's hitting theaters in November of 2027 with Steven Spielberg producing under Amblin Entertainment. But Chris Columbus, who wrote the original 1984 classic, is going to return to produce and direct it. So that's pretty awesome as well. Chris Columbus is, a huge name in the industry. Think about Home Alone, you think about Harry Potter. He's done some big titles throughout his illustrious career. He is a big name. So they are going all in with this, which is exciting. Look, I'm all for this. Is this the right move, though? Think about it. Gremlins isn't a hugely known property. You walk down the street, I'm sure you'll catch maybe one out of like 75 to 100 people that actually know what a gremlin is. And also, where can you go with it? The first movie kind of covered it all. You don't feed them after midnight, you don't get them wet. What else can you do with them at that point? But look, I'm all for it. I am. Let's have some fun with it. I'll be there. I will be there with my kids day one to check this movie out. So I'm excited for it. What do you guys think? Is this something you're excited about? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Donovan says, why can't we let old franchises die? They haven't tried a reboot to Jaws because you can't. Okay, maybe you can and have an actual better story. No, Jaws doesn't have a bad story, but think of all of the different shark movies we've had since Jaws. That's essentially just a Jaws movie, just in a different way. All the shark movies. That's all it is. So, they just haven't called it Jaws. That's all it is. Like Megalodon, like the Meg, that's basically Jaws. They just were like, let's make it bigger. Like, that's all they basically are. So that's how I say. That's how I see it. Critic Chris says CGI Gremlins, though, I hope they better be practical. And I think with Spielberg involved, I think they'll stay practical. They will be practical. They just have to. Like, come on, look at him here. Like, you can't make this CGI. If anything, look at what they did with Baby Yoda, with Grogu. He is mostly practical in almost every scene. There are scenes where he isn't practical in The Mandalorian, but most scenes he is practical. Like, they can do it. So they're going to go practical. They have to. Donovan says, I am really sick of retreating old franchises. Let the past die and embrace original stuff. But nobody's going to original things. I'm all for it too. I'm all for having original content, but nobody's going to it. Nobody's going to the original things. How many movies have failed at the box office recently? Original content, original stories have been failing at the box office. So many of them. So these studios are going back to the well to known IPs to make up for those lost box office, for those lost money from those original films. So, all right, keep on moving. K-pop Demon Hunter sequel not coming until 2029. But will Netflix's big hit lose its hype? This is coming from That Park Place. Fans are already anticipating the sequel to Netflix's breakout film K-pop Demon Hunters. However, they will have to wait until 2029, according to new reports. While a 4-year interval is not unusual for large animated projects, the length of the wait raises questions about how durable the original film's momentum will prove to be. What we know about the franchise and sequel, K-pop Demon Hunters presents a fictional 3-member K-pop group called Huntrix with members Rumi, Mira, Zoe, who secretly fight demons through song and action. Its initial release placed it among Netflix's most watched titles of all time. The sequel is reported to involve the same creative team to be released via Netflix in 2029. So why the 4-year interval matters. And I wanted to bring this up today. I think we talked about this last week, but this kind of really brings it into perspective a little bit. Audience attention may shift. In the span of multiple years, viewers' taste, streaming options, and pop culture context evolve. What feels fresh in 2025 may not resonate the same way in 2029. Brand buzz can fade. The first film built recognition for a stylized K-pop meets demon hunting concept. Without strong follow-up or overt presence in the interim, public awareness can languish. Production expectations and changing competition. In that interval, other franchises will continue launching. The sequel will enter a more crowded marketplace. Cultural and musical shifts, K-pop trends, animation styles, soundtrack modularities, and streaming habits can change considerably in 4 years. The original's hymn to a particular moment might feel dated, if not updated suitably. However, there are some potential mitigating factors. A strong launch helps, multi-platform potential, and producer-director commentary. The creators have publicly expressed the desire to continue the story. The franchise already exhibits ancillary merchandise deals, for example, toy licensing deal, which can keep the brand active, and the original film's performance suggests a base of interest. So can they survive a 4-year limbo? In today's age where attention spans are getting shorter and trends change quicker than ever, will audience still care about Huntrix, the Huntrix trio in 4 years? In 4 years, time will tell. So here's my thought. I have this belief that they absolutely can survive this if they handle it right. So it's going to take them 4 years to make a brand new movie. However, if they're smart, if they can do this quickly enough, the artist who wrote most of the music and was one of the singers, Rumi, I think her name is what, EJ, I think is her name. You need to get her writing some more music, which is going to be a lot faster. You get her to write a few songs for Huntrix between now and then. So maybe get her to write, 3-4 songs between now and then. And you got to release them, sporadically between now and then, before then. And you get some animators to animate some music videos and some different little snippets for that, to just keep it alive, to keep everybody interested in Huntrix and K-pop and K-pop Demon Hunter story, to just keep it going. And what you can do is maybe even if they're smart, create a concert. It sounds crazy. And Netflix and Sony, if you're listening to me, like, get some animators, hire some animators, and create a concert that is just of the K-pop Demon Hunters, and create like an hour and a half long concert with their current songs that you have for the movie. Have EJ write some additional songs, okay? And then make some, get some content, some, additional content where they talk to the crowd and really the audience that's watching, and you just make a concert. Makes this something different than we've ever seen before from this. Make this something special than anything we've ever seen before, because that's what's going to get people still excited. That's why it was so successful now, is 1, because it was something that was different than we've ever seen. 2, because it was catchy songs, great music. And 3, because it was just fun. It was fun. So you keep the fun alive by doing something different and keep going with something different. And then you get good music and keep going with that fun, good music. And you're going to keep the hype alive. So while we got to wait 4 years, maybe in a year and a half, you release that concert, that idea for a concert, and then that keeps it alive a little bit longer. So that's my thought. I think that would be a really cool idea. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think? Love to hear what you have to say below. All right, guys, I am going to pull this up for a second, because what I want to do is I want to let you know that after today's show, I am going to do another members only stream. So if you're a member, you can jump over and watch that stream. It will be called To Shill or Not to Shill. I was called out via a a tweet the other day by someone who I will not name right now, but I was called out via a tweet, and I guess these fellows here, and I have no problem with these guys here. They're called like the Dual Shock or something like that, something Dual Shock. I don't know what their channel name is, but they posted their video and said that Slavs Free Talk and Movie Hubbub are exactly what they're talking about in their video. And so I was like, okay, well, I got to watch his video. I got to watch his video and see, like, supposedly I'm exactly what they're like. So I watched the video and I was like, no, I don't think that's right at all. So what I want to do is I want to watch the video along with all of you on the members channel and discuss it and talk about that video, because it is a very interesting video. And it's not me. Don't think of it as me calling anybody out or complaining about anybody, because this couple, like, I have no issues with them at all. So that's what the member stream will be about after this, immediately after this, a couple minutes after, because I gotta get it ready and everything. I will be doing that. So $2.99 to become a member to do that. All right. Why my viewers have dropped drastically today? What is going on? That's bizarre. I don't like this vertical stream. It seems like my viewers have dropped. Typically, I'm in the 30s, 40s on any given day, but I'm down to 8 right now. That's bizarre. Okay, whatever. All right, so moving on to the next topic. This one is exciting. DC Studio taps American Vandal creators for a Jimmy Olsen TV spinoff. The show would be led by Skylar Gisondo, reprising his role as Daily Planet photographer Jimmy Olsen, with season 1 focusing on Gorilla Grodd. Dan Peralt and Tony Yacenda, who created the award-winning mockumentary American Vandal, are going into the DC universe. The duo will write, executive produce, and showrun the Superman movie TV spinoff to star Skylar Gisondo, the actor who played Jimmy Olsen. Gisondo and the character became a true breakout. Blah, blah, okay. It's going to star, the concept centers on Olsen as well as other Daily Planet reporters, minus Lois Lane and Clark Kent. That upsets some people, but I don't know why they need to be the stars or part of the stars. I'm glad with it being Jimmy Olsen. Like, this is fun. Jimmy Olsen is great. They are going to tackle cases involving super-powered villains. Gorilla Grodd would be in the spotlight for the season. Grodd is a super intelligent evil ape who rules a secret African city named Gorilla City. The character is a key antagonist for The Flash and first appeared in an issue of the Scarlet Speedsters comics back in 1959. He was created by John Broome and Carmine Infantino. Gunn and his DC Studios co-chief Peter Safran will executive produce. Galen Weisman is overseeing for DC. So this is exciting. It's going to be called what is it called? DC Crime, I believe. Is that what it's called? DC Crime. This was rumored about like 3 months ago, 4 months ago. It was rumored a while ago that this was going to be coming. And to be honest, there were some people that were a little upset about it. You know, people were like, why would we want something like this? I think this is a really cool idea. And let me explain why. Okay. This is very similar to the idea of that Powerless show that we had not that long ago. That was where it was like a cleanup crew of people that would go around and clean up the messes of, or the insurance company or whatever it was. in a DC universe where superheroes would destroy and it would, it's similar in that regard. Now that was more of a comedy. I don't know if this is going to be a comedy or what yet, but the reason why this is similar is because you're able to build out a universe in a way without focusing so heavily on the huge stars. That is a good thing. Now, somebody like Gorilla Grodd, having a villain like that'll be there, that's cool. You can also have a villain of the week type of thing, which would be also really cool to have, because you can build up some lesser known, smaller villains that can be, hey, these are some small villains, but can become something bigger down the line for eventually a Flash or a Green Arrow or something like that down the line. Could pop up in a Superman movie or something like that. These are little things, intricacies that can be built up that can help build the DCU a lot larger than just having to wait and watch movie to movie to movie to movie. But the brilliant thing behind it is it's not going to be a requirement to watch it. You know, this is going to be something that for diehard fans, you can watch it, enjoy it, but you don't have to. That is the genius behind the idea of this show. It's going to be a little bit of fun, which is all people are looking for when they're looking for TV and entertainment, is to have some fun. So people are sitting here saying, this is a terrible idea. Do you just not want to have fun? Like, why are you complaining about something that could be fun? Give it a chance. Have some fun. Like, it's not a bad idea if you're just you can go be entertained and have some fun. Like, that's the whole point behind it. So for me, I'm sitting here like, this is brilliant. Build out the DCU, introduce some new characters. Let's see Jimmy Olsen just expand his character some more. Let's go with it. In short, it says Lois Lane and Superman Clark Kent won't be in it. Okay, they're saying they won't be in it. That doesn't mean that we may not, maybe in a season 2 or a season 3, or maybe even at the very end of season 1, one of them doesn't pop in. That doesn't mean that it won't happen. They're just not going to be the main focus, which, hey, fine with me. They don't always need to be the main focus. So for me, I think this is great. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's going to be one of those things that when I sit down, when it comes out, I'm going to sit down and I'm just going to have a smile on my face. The entire, whatever it's going to be, if it's a 30-minute episode, a 23-minute episode, a 40-minute episode, I'm just going to have a grin on my face, ear to ear, because it's going to be one of those shows just like, hey, this is just a lot of fun, and it's all it's supposed to be. But I would love to hear what you have to say. Is this a kind of show that you're like, hey, this isn't going to be anything that's dire that you have to watch, like a Lanterns or, like a Paradise Lost or, Man of Tomorrow. But hey, this is going to be fun that can help expand the DCU and just have a good time. Is that something that you're looking forward to? Is it something that you agree with? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right. What are we saying here? I saw a whole bunch of stuff. Donovan says, I love seeing this as a crime series with Olsen investigating different villains. I do too. Trayvon says, to all those who complained about not seeing much of the Daily Planet crew and Superman, here you go. Yeah, there you go. Trayvon says, us fans truly do not know what we want. I, for one, think this is a fantastic idea. Agreed. Donovan says, I see each season of Olsen investigating a big villain, but we have smaller ones in this as well, and him unraveling conspiracies. I agree. I think it's going to be almost like a villain of the week, with there being a big villain towards like the overarching villain as well. Chris says, maybe a cameo by the Flash if season is focused on Grodd. Maybe. Wouldn't that be something? Let's see. Trayvon says this is essentially Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen as a TV show. It kind of sounds like it, yeah. Jalen's here, says everyone was asking why they made Penguin show, and look at it now. Exactly. DCU, says Donovan, is here, but wait, Snyder Cuck 69 told me DC is a failure. Oh man. What else do we got? Willie Fishtagash. Make Jimmy Olsen a CIA agent, then off him in the first episode. Wait, Snyder already did that. Oh, man, that'd be funny. Or make a comment. Have him make a comment like his cousin was killed as a CIA agent or something. That'd be funny. Wouldn't that be funny? That'd be funny. I would laugh at it. All right. So the next story. Come on. There we go. So I'm sure you guys saw yesterday or the other day, Forbes shared an article or posted an article that Superman profited $100 plus million dollars on its way to making $150 million by end of year. And like clockwork, we had people freaking out about it. And we had some really, 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 really funny memes to make out of it, really. Our boy Aaron, just a month ago, said, I will trust Forbes over an unnamed source. And that's because Forbes, a month ago, on October 6th, wrote an article stating that Superman lost at the box office around $40 million. And he was saying, I will trust Forbes over an unnamed source because I believe it was Variety or maybe Hollywood Reporter, I can't remember, posted an article that said that Superman made $125 million. So he was saying, I trust Forbes over an unnamed source. But now on October, 9th yesterday, so it was October 9th yesterday, he says, this is why you can't trust Forbes. All of a sudden in a month, it's profited over $100 million. Prove it. So then he made a video today. Lies, lies, lies. Now, the basis of his video, first off, I always encourage everybody to go listen to the other side. It's important to hear both sides of everything, but literally that video was just him yelling. It was. He literally yelled in that video the entire time. He was yelling in that video. How dare they? They are lying. This is ridiculous. It didn't do this. It didn't do that. Blah, blah, blah. Like he was yelling the entire time in the video. It was kind of disturbing that cape, like superhero stuff, it made him that angry. Something that has no relevance on his actual life upset him to the point where he's yelling at a computer screen like that. It's kind of weird. But regardless, his whole basis is that in a month, Superman could not have profited over $100 million. Well, the article never said that it did. Not only that, but the article also never negates the initial article from October. That's one key point that a lot of people are missing. Okay. So the article in October, while speculative, it was a speculative piece, does mention look, per box office numbers, with the movie now out of the theaters, from what we see, the movie made this much based off of what the production is and everything like that. It looks like the movie would have lost around $40 million. However, we don't know how much it will make on everything else. Okay, that's speculative. That there is speculative. I don't care what anybody says. That's speculation. That's just saying, look, hey, it seems like it lost this much, but we don't know what the final tally is going to be because we don't know the rest. So it's all speculation. This one here is saying, look, it seems like it made over $100 million. It's going to make, by the end of the year, about $150 million. So how does it do that? That's the question. Because a lot of people don't understand that. Mr. Aaron Fisher is sitting here saying, how could it made over $100 million in a month? Well, first off, the article doesn't say that. What the article actually says is that it's made 100 million, 125, almost $150 million in profit total. Okay? So it's pretty simple. You see, the box office is the foundation of a movie. That's kind of mostly the bulk of what a movie makes. At that point, everything else that a movie makes is just additional for it. So where could it get more money? Where could it make this, so let's just, for the sake of argument here, guys, okay, just stick with me here. Let's say Superman lost $40 million at the box office, okay? So they're saying it's going to make 140 or 150 million by the end of profit by the end of the year. That means it has to make a total of $190 million. Where could it have made up this $190 million in its entirety of its run? Not just in the last month, but in the entirety of its run. Where could it have made this all up? Well, let me tell you where it could make it up. First and foremost, digital sales and premium VOD. This is a huge one. This makes, money like you would not believe. Sales and rentals are nearly pure profit when it comes to movies. $19.99, $20.99, $29.99 purchases, $5.99 and $14.99 rentals. The margins here make box offices look like pocket change. It's in the tens of millions of dollars when it comes to digital and physical sales. It's crazy. Then you take a look at streaming and on HBO Max. Superman exploded on Max, pulling in 13 plus million views in the first 10 days, huge subscriber retention, platform growth during its release window. And now here's the crazy thing that people don't understand. Even though Warner Brothers does own HBO Max, the metrics are counted as direct revenue impact. Streaming performance is now a major part of studio's quarterly results, and Superman gave Warner Brothers one of its best quarters in years. That's interesting, huh? Physical media, we talked about that. Blu-ray, 4K collector's editions. You get high-priced steel books, premium box sets, exclusive retailer versions. Physical media may not be what it was 20 years ago, but it still generates millions of dollars. And then you have your merchandising and licensing. This is kind of a hidden gold mine. The S on the shield isn't just iconic, it's a merch leviathan. So things like action figures, Funko Pops, McFarlane toys, apparel, backpacks, Halloween costumes, collectibles, books, and art editions. Every single piece of merchandise, everything that has that emblem on it, that S on it, that's licensing money that they get. Every single piece. This is a big one too. Brand partnerships. Remember that whole Dairy Queen thing? First off, that wasn't the only partnership that they had. They had other partnerships. But things like that isn't just a, hey, let's just partner up. No, they get money for that kind of stuff. They get money for that. It's cash licensing fees. They also get some free advertising, co-branded merchandise, cross promotions for each. But again, every deal equals more revenue plus marketing value. So that's something that goes into it as well. Product placement. I was watching it the other day, Superman the other day. I had it on in the background. And I can't tell you how many iPhones I saw in that movie. There are so many iPhones in that movie. You don't think Apple paid them a pretty penny for that to be iPhone heavy in that? Oh yeah, they paid them a pretty penny. Plus, you got cars, clothes, watches, whatever's in the movie. It's not free. Brands will pay to put their stuff in the movies. Then you have your video games and interactive licensings. Let's not forget that Superman was in Fortnite. So different things like skins, DLC packs, character bundles, mobile game crossovers, any kind of VR specialty events, those types of things, mobile game things. They get money for that. Then you also have your international and domestic licenses, which that hasn't kicked in yet for TV stuff. That hasn't quite kicked in yet, but that will be something. And then you have your tax rebates and productions incentives, which we've talked about before. That's something that we don't know what all those tax incentives are. Shooting in different areas, whether it's in Georgia, whether it's in Cincinnati, in Ohio, that kind of stuff. Wherever they shoot, they will get some kind of rebate and tax incentive, which will help lower the cost of production. So that is why I always tell people the numbers that we see aren't always accurate for what the production budget is. So that's why you can't always sit there. So we sit there and see, oh, they lost $40 million. Well, that may not be accurate because we don't have all of the information for what all the tax incentives that they got for everything. So keep that in mind. So when it really comes down to it, when you take a look at everything, when it comes to box office, digital, PVOD, merchandising, licensing fees, corporate tie-ins, video game deals, everything, tax incentives, all that, it is more than possible that Superman made $150 million in profit by the end of this year. It is more than possible, especially when we don't have all of the information. It's more than possible. Now, am I sitting here saying that, hey, in 3 years, we may get told that Superman actually lost $20 million? Who knows? Because studios do some crazy things and they finagle numbers all the time. I say this always. I always say this. Look at what happened with The Rise of Skywalker, The Last Jedi, and The Acolyte, things like that. They finagle these numbers so it looks pretty, but eventually the truth comes out. It does come out. However, the difference here is Superman didn't cost as much as The Rise of Skywalker. It didn't cost as much as The Acolyte. Like those productions were astronomically high. So I'm not too worried about it in that regard. So again, is it possible that this movie profits $150 million by the end of the year? Absolutely. Do we have the information in front of us to show us that? We don't. Will we ever get it? Maybe, maybe not. But Forbes is a very reputable site. They're reliable, they're reputable. I can't imagine that they would go out on a limb and post this information and say, hey, this is just the information I have, and then lose their reputation because of it. It's Forbes. Like that would be ridiculous of them. Especially when their shareholders, Warner Brothers Discovery, just had their shareholders meeting, which they were like, hey, Superman did great. Superman was huge. It did great for us in Q3. And then Forbes comes out like, look, hey, this is what we're looking at. Like, that's not how it works. That's not how it would work. But again, there's people out there who are going to sit there and say, oh, the mainstream media is lying about this. The mainstream media is lying. Forbes is lying. They're lying. They're lying. They're lying. What does Forbes get out of it? Literally, what does Forbes get out of saying that Superman made is going to make $150 million in profit by the end of the year? What do they get out of it? They don't get anything. They get zero anything out of it. But it doesn't fit the narrative of these certain people. As the article states, they're trying to twist everything. These certain people are trying to twist everything because they believe that it's going to get them their universe back. But what I love about that article is how it says, look, whatever studio ends up owning Warner Brothers Discovery or DC Studios, whatever it is, they're the ones that are going to be able to sit there and see all of these numbers. They're the ones that are going to be able to sit there and see and say, oh, it's fine. All these douchebags over here on the internet are idiots. It's fine. That is the one aspect that all of these idiots are missing, that they're refusing to acknowledge. Because Forbes is absolutely right. I've been saying that for months. Forbes is absolutely right that whatever company comes in, they're going to sit there and they're going to see the numbers and they're going to be like, yeah, that's absolutely right. There's no reason to panic. DC Studios is doing fine. Superman did well. Here we go. We keep moving forward. Because the keyboard warriors, the keyboard Snyder cultists, groupies, whatever you want to call them, they have no idea what they're talking about. Because they're just pushed by passion. That's all they're doing. They're just pushed by passion. I sit here and I get criticized, I get demeaned, despite the fact that I'm sitting here saying, yeah, the box office, it very well could have lost $40 million. I'm sitting here saying, look, it's possible that it can make $150 million by the end of the year. We don't have all the information, but this is how it could make that much money. Forbes is a reliable source that we should believe because it's reputable, but we don't have all the information. That's my words. That's what I'm saying. Meanwhile, you have the other side that's sitting here is saying, they're liars, don't believe them, they all suck, don't listen to them. Meanwhile, a month ago, they're like, hey, they're awesome, believe them, they're awesome, believe them, they're the greatest people ever. How can you trust those people when they're sitting there flip-flopping back and forth? Meanwhile, for the last month and a half, I've been sitting here saying, last month I said, hey, yeah, what Forbes is saying is very well possible. I'm not denying that. It's possible that they could have lost $40 million. And now a month later, I'm saying, hey, what they're saying here is very well possible. And it doesn't negate what they said a month ago. Why am I the level-headed one here, yet the one that's getting demeaned and yelled at? How does that make sense? I'm told that I should be positive about Superman. I should be talking about Superman in a positive way because I'm a fan of the DCU and excited about what's coming. And I am. But when I talk truthfully about it and excited and say, hey, this is great news, I get demeaned for it. It makes no sense. You see what I mean? It's bizarre how things work. It is literally bizarre how these people think. It truly is. But let me know your thoughts. You can head over to Slavs Free Talk. You can read all this. You have your backup here. You can show it to people. You can throw it in their faces if you need to, because it's all right there on slavsfreetalk.com. Again, it's there for you people to use if you ever need backup for anything, so you can head there anytime you want. All right. Let's get into the big thing here. What are you guys saying over here before we do that? Soul Survivor Studios. I'm back on live streams. Let's go. What's up, man? Man. Excuse me. What are you guys saying over here? You guys are all over the place. Trayvon says, and he's okay with Superman breaking necks and aura. You guys are what's going on? Donovan says, Slav, don't forget about the other DC Studios series announcement. Oh, yeah, the V for Vendetta thing. Yeah, I did forget about that. They did announce V for Vendetta show is in development. I forgot about putting that up there. Yeah, so we're going to get a V for Vendetta show. James Gunn is producing it. DC Studios is behind it. Honestly, there's not much information about it. I think, Donovan, you were saying earlier, is it going to be like what they did with The Watchmen, where it's kind of like a continuation of the like how they did the continuation of The Watchmen? Could this be like a continuation of V for Vendetta, like the comic, the comic series, or is it going to be a retelling of the comic series? Either way, I'm interested to see what they do, but I really don't know what they're going to go, how they're going to go with it. I really don't. Great, Chris. They jump to conclusions, Slav. Throw a fit when they're proven to be wrong. They can't retract what they said before. Just whine. Yeah. It's true. They do. It's wild. All right. Next story here. Oh, I know. Oh, crap. You're using Geeks and Gamers, Slav. How could you? Oh, my goodness. Okay. So from Geeks and Gamers, they say Warner Brothers sale could harm movie theaters forever, industry warns. So reports of a potential Warner Brothers sale have sparked growing alarm for movie theaters industry-wide, with executives describing the situation as a red alert moment that could reshape the theatrical landscape. As detailed in a new report from The Wrap, exhibitors fear that a merger or acquisition could drastically reduce the number of films available to theaters, mirroring the fallout that followed Disney's 2019 purchase of 20th Century Fox. According to The Wrap, multiple executives from across the exhibition industry expressed serious concern for theaters over the idea of Warner Brothers, a studio that grossed more than $4 billion globally this year, being absorbed through a sale to another player. Among the rumored interest buyers are Paramount, Skydance, Studio gross board being absorbed through a sale to another major. So Skydance, Netflix, Comcast, each of whom could take Warner Brothers in very different directions. Theaters have spent the past 2 years pushing for Hollywood to deliver more films to help restore box office momentum following the 2020 lockdowns and industry strikes. However, the possibility of consolidation, as many exhibitors worry that fewer studios will mean fewer releases, a concern that proved justified after Disney's acquisition of 20th Century Fox. That merger saw Fox's theatrical output drop roughly 15 films a year to fewer than 5. One independent theater owner told The Wrap that this situation represents a genuine crisis, saying that the industry needs to call it out as a serious antitrust issue. The owner added that further consolidation could deal a massive blow to the industry, which still hasn't recovered from the combination of lockdowns, streaming competition, and labor stoppages. Look, we all know that theater chains as a whole are in big trouble right now. This has been my big issue when it comes to possibly a sale or a merger for Warner Brothers. Look, I've been upfront saying I don't want Warner Brothers to be sold. I don't want it to go merge with Skydance or Comcast or anything. I don't want it to happen because I don't want to see consolidation. I don't want to see less output. I don't want to see jobs lost. I don't want to see all that happen because we saw it happen with 20th Century Fox. I don't want to see it happen again. And that's unfortunate because it's bound to happen. We know it's going to happen, and it sucks. Like it absolutely sucks. The theater chains are right to be worried. This is a red alert moment because when this happens, yes, eventually we're going to see where output just drops drastically. Is it going to be as drastic as 20th Century? I can't imagine it will be. If only because Warner Brothers, I think, is a lot bigger of a studio than 20th Century Fox was, and they have a lot more divisions. You got your horror side, you got your DC side, you got your even like your animation side with Looney Tunes and all that kind of stuff. Like there's so many more divisions within Warner Brothers than there was at 20th Century, but who knows? Like, who knows what's going to happen when all is said and done? It just doesn't look good. But the crazier thing was just this past week, AMC posted a steep $298 million loss. Its net loss climbed against a year earlier $20.7 million loss due to non-cash charges. AMC has seen its third quarter net loss balloon and total revenues fall due to weaker Hollywood box office. On Wednesday, the debt-laden parent of AMC Theater reported overall revenue at $1.3 billion against a year earlier $1.34 billion when it got a boost from Deadpool and Wolverine and Inside Out 2 in its theaters. The mega exhibitor's net loss for its most recent financial quarter came in at $298.2 million against a year earlier of $20.7, due mainly to non-cash charges associated with July 2025 refinancing to fully redeem a 2026 debt maturities. So AMC is riding a premium screen gold rush at the local multiplex by offering varied immersive auditoriums like IMAX, Dolby, iSense XL, and laser projection screens, but that wasn't enough to offset a roller coaster ride in Hollywood box office so far in 2025. Calendar year 25 is turning out exactly as we have long predicted, due to primarily to the timing of major studio film release dates. A weak first quarter was followed by a blazing hot second quarter, which then was followed by a softened third quarter. Aaron said in a statement, Aaron, is it Aaron or Aaron? Whatever, said in the company After the collapse of domestic box office in October, Aaron needs to convince investors AMC can leverage a steadier supply. Anyways, to not go too in depth with it, AMC is struggling. The biggest chain in basically the United States is struggling right now. A Warner Brothers sale is going to hurt them even more. However, let's not forget that AMC, not just AMC, but most theater chains are just handling all of these industrial changes completely wrong. They really are. From raising ticket prices to concessions being out of hand to so many other things, they're handling everything horribly. And I've been saying for quite some time, they need to take a step back. They need to reevaluate how everything is. Lowering ticket prices again, getting those ticket prices lowered to get people to go back to the theater. That's the number one thing they have to do. I understand the concessions are what keep the lights on. That's what covers their overhead more than anything else. I get that. But I shouldn't be taking my kids to the movies and it charging, like I have to pay $80 in concessions for myself and my kids to go to a movie. And that's just the concessions. That's before the tickets. Like, that's outrageous. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's out of hand. Again, I understand the concessions are what pay the overhead, but that is just crazy to me. And tickets, which, again, they're not terrible in my area. Like, I can take my family typically, at a 1:00 showing with my A-list, so I get my discounts typically and stuff like that. I can typically take my family for around $30-$40 total for all of us to go see a movie at like 1 p.m. That's not bad. That isn't bad. So, I'm not too mad about where I'm able to go for ticket prices, but I know some areas, for even 2 people to go, you're looking at $40, which is absolutely insane. So again, they really need to take a step back and really look at how things are when it comes to movie theaters, ticket prices, concessions, because you keep raising concessions to try and mitigate the low attendance. You're going to make more attendance low because nobody's going to want to pay the price of the concessions or the price of the tickets and things like that. It's just not going to work. You need to lower the prices to bring people back in. And then once people are in there, maybe bump it up a little bit, not too much, but bump it up a little bit and see if they're comfortable with it. Like, that's how you're going to have to do it. That's just my thought. But it's interesting to see, if Warner Brothers does this, this could be one of the final nails in the coffin of movie theaters. I think that it's one of those things that, if this goes through, if this sale happens, I can see within 5 to 10 years that we're only going to have a handful of theaters around. We're going to have, maybe a couple megaplexes in cities, but a lot of those smaller movie theater chains, not so much the mom and pop ones, but like not the megaplexes, like the smaller ones that might be in like a mall or something like that. They're going to be gone. There's not going to be many of them around. You're going to have to travel. Like for me, I'll probably have to travel like an hour and a half, 2 hours to get to a movie theater. And it's going to kill me. It's going to kill me. But yeah, I think that's how it's going to go. But I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Trayvon says, I wish I was around for when Hollywood had the big 7 of Paramount, Universal, Columbia, 20th Century, MGM, Warner Brothers, and Disney. Wasn't that long ago, man. It wasn't that long ago. That was in the 90s. They were all around. But you were born in what, like 2005 or something? So yeah. All right, guys. Well, I am going to wrap this up. I'm going to go get ready for the members only stream. Remember, members only is going to be in a little bit after this. To shill or not to shill. This should be a fun little episode that I do here. It's a members only stream, and again, $2.99. Support the channel, support me. I'm going to try and do these member only streams at least once a week, maybe twice a week. If I'm feeling a little swirly, I might do them twice a week. So you can stick around for that. Let me know if you guys watch the vertical show of this. I don't know. It's something new that StreamYard was doing. I was giving it a shot. I don't know. We'll see. May never do it again. It's weird, but let me know. And with all that said, guys, thanks for watching. Hit that like button, hit subscribe. And with all that said, I will catch you all on the flip side. Take it easy. Come on.